like to try me out alive in the stars. My friends all say I need a place to air out my heart, so I'm moving to Mars.
Hi, welcome to Artist Connection. I'm Kevin Fagan. Today we're going to talk about preparing for performances. You've got people like Michael Jackson who like to endlessly drill his bands before they go on. And then you have people like the Black Keys who seem to just kind of bound up on stage and get at it. It's a wide gamut of choices about what you want to do before you approach a gig. And today we're going to talk to 3 different artists about how they go at it. We hope we learned some answers, and we'll be back after the show to talk about what we found out. Thanks. Barry Melton is based in Northern California. He was co-founder and lead guitarist for Country Joe and the Fish. He headlined at Woodstock, and he tours internationally. Hello, Barry.
Hi, Kevin. What's up?
Well, so how do you prepare for a performance? You've got a whole bunch of routines, I'm kind of sure.
Well, I generally down a 6-pack of beer. I go, of course, to the nail and cuticle place and have my hands tended to.
It's very important, of course.
I go to makeup and I spend at least 20 or 30 minutes, getting my...
Because you want to look just so.
I have my Botox injections the day before.
So this is what all old hippies do to get ready, isn't it? Yeah.
I do all those things that are necessary to look right.
Right, of course.
There are those who said in my youth that I was not a musician, I was a poser.
You could tell.
And I sort of am, because I practice my poses before I get ready for a performance.
In front of the mirror,
Yeah, I mean, these are all things that most people don't think about. That's why I'm a performer and they're not.
Of course. Well, so because you perform all over the place. You do locals, you do international, you put big cities, little places. Is there a difference in the way you approach a performance in a big city as opposed to a little town somewhere?
No, but internationally, I'll generally go over what I want to say to the audience in the language of the country that I'm performing in.
Yeah.
Either that or I'll make arrangements to have somebody translate for me.
No kidding. Yeah, because some people just show up and they say, "Hello, Cleveland," and they're actually in, somewhere else.
A few years back, maybe 6-7 years ago, I was doing a festival circuit in France, and I was very careful to prepare my remarks in French prior to doing performances.
You actually speak French, or just learn a little bit of it?
I speak French, but not well enough to necessarily deliver a coherent series of remarks on an abstract level.
Well, why is that important? Why is that important to connect with something like a language like that locally?
I think something about a performance is how the artist relates the performance to their lives or experience or a period of time that's passed.
Yeah.
I think when you go see an artist perform live, you're looking in some sense for the in-between parts that sort of explain where a song came from, what the song means to the performer, the circumstances under which it was written. And I think that's part of what people go to hear when they go to hear a live performance.
It's a whole experience, isn't it? As opposed to listening to an album where you've carefully crafted what you've done. This is it's an interaction. How important is it to you to feel the connection from the audience and then going back, this kind of circular relationship?
Well, if you can't make the connection, generally the performance doesn't work out.
It ain't working.
So it's a very important element of the performance to make the connection with the audience.
Now, before you go on to a big audience, say thousands of people, how do you prep in your head for that, or do you just walk on and hit it?
There's no difference between performing for 500,000 people and 5 people.
Yeah.
And, I mean, in many respects. There's an upper limit to the number of people you can perform for anyway. I think it's about somewhere about 4,000 or 5,000, because that's about all the people that you can see from the stage, where you can see their faces. Once you can't see their faces anymore, they're an abstraction. They're not the people you're performing to.
Yeah.
In some sense, you read the audience by looking at the faces that you can see.
So you're performing to the first few hundred people in the rows, so to speak.
The way you read an audience is to look at their faces, and when the faces are no longer, or when the facial expressions are no longer distinguishable, then it doesn't matter how many people are there.
Yeah. Do you ever have any routines before you walk onto a stage? Like you do a countdown, any superstitions, got to have your lucky rabbit foot in your pocket, anything like that?
No. I mean, I remember when I was young, really young. It's been a long time.
Not that long.
Well, 50 years. I mean, but it's been a long time since I had stage fright.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was young, I used to swallow and stand on my toes or close my eyes. Or
really?
Go through, you know, go through various routines in order to overcome my apprehension about stepping on stage. Yeah. But after you live there a while, it's a natural medium.
Yeah.
You know, it's just what you do.
Yeah, 50 years of playing, thousands of concerts. Do you ever get a moment at all when you walk from the wings and you look out and you see 100,000 people where you go, or is it just automatic?
No, like I say, I mean, you can only perform to about 5,000 people. That's about the end of it. After that, you can't see their faces. So, you know, I mean, it's great. I mean, but there's really no difference between 50,000 and 500,000 because you can't see 50,000 people. So you can't see 25,000 people. I mean, you can only see about, I'm guessing, 3,000 to 5,000 people or something. You can only see that many expressions, so it doesn't really matter after that.
What about if you bust a string in the middle of a performance in front of hundreds of thousands of people?
It's to be expected. If the performance is big enough, you're probably carrying a second instrument and you have a replacement, and it just, you know, part of the flow is you just put it on. If it's a matter of hundreds of people or a typical club date or something like that, probably not. Then I have a whole series of things that I can do to occupy the audience while I change my string. I have poems, I have jokes, I have routines. You've seen some of them. A cappella songs, whatever.
Seems to me that the Kevin Barry song works pretty well. It lasts just about long enough to change a string.
It does, actually, yeah. So that is one of my string changing mechanisms.
Yeah, so,
But I have things like quotations from Matthew Arnold's Empedocles on Etna. I have a very long poem by Sir Walter Garstang, who is the marine biology chair at Oxford University in the late 19th century, early 20th century. I have devices.
This is what you get when you have a lawyer who's also a great musician. You get a little smarter bouncer, huh?
Oh, I don't know about that.
So,
no, actually, I memorized Garstang when I was 16. Quite frankly, I mean, you know, it's but I have stuff that I do, and it occupies the time necessary to do whatever. And it's not only breaking a string. The PA can go out, somebody has a buzz, you know, one of the other musicians breaks a string, or there's some instrument isn't functioning correctly.
Or you're turning up. One of the irritating things is when you got to go on and you haven't done a full sound check yet, or the sound check hasn't quite dialed in, and someone's guitar's too loud. How do you keep from freaking out on that or just getting mad?
Well, there are ways of dealing with that. One of the ways of dealing with that is if you know that the sound hasn't been checked, and that you're going to have to do that on the fly, you start off instrumentally with maybe some long instrumental passage, 2, 3, 5 minutes, and then let the sound get balanced before you come in over the top with the vocal. So I'll do something, you know, generally that's instrumental until the sound gets balanced. And then it's really hard to say from an objective point of view if it wasn't all by intention.
Of course.
So it's there are ways.
Yeah. Well, I've experienced that with you when we're doing a gig and you're turning the levels up or down, or you're kind of hearing how the mix is, because you can do it in about a song if you're paying real close attention, huh? Yeah. Now, when you're going on and they say, you know, some of the big festivals you've done where you're, you know, Santana's before you, and, you know, maybe the Grateful Dead was coming somewhere in the lineup. Does it matter who's coming before or after you as to how you prep for it to fit into a lineup?
No, because you are who you are, and the whole point of it is being the best you that you can be. So you can't really tailor yourself to meet or exceed what others do.
And how important is it for you to rehearse, especially at this stage of the game? Because most of the guys you play with, you dial in really quickly. You fit pretty well.
Well, that's an interesting proposition tomorrow, and I don't know if I should date this particular
it's okay.
interview we're doing, but tomorrow I'm playing a memorial for Sam Andrew, who is the guitar player in Big Brother and the Holding Company, and we're doing a whole set of Sam Andrew songs. And so we've all been rehearsing, we've been on the phone, the musicians have been exchanging MP3s, we've been talking out the parts, and we've scheduled getting to the gig 2-3 hours early so that we can do a final rundown of all the songs. That's really important because we're doing a bunch of material that nobody in the band is particularly familiar with, or there are different levels of familiarity. So rehearsal's really important in that context. The music that I love the most is improvisational music, where the form is relatively simple and the players are then free to move within the form, and rehearsal's not as important as a good night's sleep and a timely meal and all that sort of thing. I mean, which are really important things to successful improvisation, that everybody's in good health, you know. I mean, a band performing great has more to do with things like, is everybody healthy that night? You know, because if anybody has a cold, you can tell.
Yeah, because it's like a part of the engine is kind of skittering a little.
You got it.
Yeah, it's interesting because you're so wonderful at improvisation. It becomes a kind of an ongoing, mutually created experience, even more so than a well-rehearsed performance. That's a really different. Well, not really, but it's a different approach to putting on a song.
Well, and great improvisation requires exceptional listening skills. If everyone doesn't take the time to listen to everyone else, it's not going to work out well.
It's who's most important to rehearse in a band, or is there anyone most important? The drummer, the lead guitarist, you know, organ, anything like that?
Well, in the more simple kinds of blues-based rock music, whoever is carrying the tune is significant, as long as one person is very sure about where they're going,
Surety.
they can pull everyone else along with them.
Yeah.
But if you have 5 or 6 people up there, no one of whom is sure about where they're going, you're in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, truly. Well, I think we're going to have a song from you now, and it's been a real pleasure talking to you.
Well, thank you, Kevin.
All right, thanks, Barry.
Watch out, baby. Careful what you do. Everything you're giving out is coming back at you. And ask no questions and tell no lies. Someday you'll be sorry when you finally realize that the love you give is the love you receive. And no one will trust you if you can't believe. And break a heart, and only break your own. Make someone lonely and you'll find yourself alone. Cheat on someone, you'll be cheated too. Turn your back on someone and he'll turn his back on you. Give someone happiness and you'll get it in return. How many lifetimes must you live until you learn that the love you give is the love you receive? And no one will trust you if you can't believe. And break a heart and only break your own. Make someone lonely and you'll find yourself alone. Hey, can't you see what you're doing to me? It's gonna happen to you someday. Whatever we give in this life we live, it's back along the way. Good luck, baby, and only wish you well. Maybe you'll get straightened out and only time will tell. Before I leave, let me give some good advice. Human being makes one mistake and a fool will make it twice. And how many lifetimes must you live until you learn? Give someone happiness and you'll get it in return. And the love you give is the love you receive. And no one will trust you if you can't believe. And break a heart and only break your own. Make someone lonely and you'll find yourself alone.
Steve Kotarek is a singer-songwriter based in Woodland, California. He's released a CD and he plays in local clubs and bars. So, Steve, how do you prepare for a performance?
Well, I think it kind of depends. I think it depends on the venue that you're going to be playing at. I like to have a basic idea of the songs I'm going to play and have a set list put together.
Yeah.
But you know, if it's going to be an intimate venue, maybe some more mellow songs. If it's going to be more of an open space, something maybe a little bit livelier. But and a lot of times too, you might get to a venue and get kind of a feel at that moment and think maybe I'll throw something that strikes me at that time.
Sure.
and put it on there. So
yeah, set lists are kind of an art, aren't they? Do you agonize over these things and as you put them together, or do you just kind of mix and match quick?
I try to agonize, so
Yeah.
it's kind of a thoughtful process. But if there's something that strikes me kind of spur of the moment, I'll throw that on there. I know recently I played in Sacramento and played a real small venue called the Naked Lounge, and it's like this very intimate space, and it almost feels like a place that a real like folk music and singer-songwriters pass through. So, I threw a cover on there called "Fare Thee Well" that seemed to fit pretty
Dink's
well.
song?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So threw that on there, and I've done that a couple times.
Well, how important is it to figure out what you open with? Because there's a rhythm to a set list, isn't there?
Right.
There's a whole rhythm to a performance. When you approach that, say you do a bigger venue, are you going to open up with something hard? Or are you going to open with something soft? Are you consistent?
Yeah, there's those songs that you want to play a song that obviously you're real comfortable with, get the butterflies out a little bit, and a song that probably encapsulates you. So yeah, it's something probably more upbeat, but gets you warmed up, and then enables you, like you said, to kind of ebb and flow through the set list. Because it's nice to play something high energy, maybe a couple real high energy songs, and then drop it down to something a little bit more mellow, and just keep it interesting through the set.
Yeah. How do you tamp down the butterflies when you're getting ready? So you're there on the edge of the stage, and maybe there's an act before you, and you're about ready to go on. Say it's kind of a biggish crowd. What do you do in your head to get yourself ready?
Well, I think preparation is always the biggest key. So the day of the gig, I'm setting up in my own space with my PA system and my gear, and running through the set list. And right before I'm going on stage or whatever, I'm thinking of that time when I've prepared, and I find that calms me. It gives me a sense of security, because I know I just did this today, and I'm going to do it again. But and hopefully the butterflies and the endorphins going kind of work to your advantage. Well, so it's a mental, it's a head game, I guess.
Oh, absolutely. And there's nothing worse than when you get up, you plug in, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Then what? Does that just blow your circuits, or do you have a process in your head where you have to take a deep breath and say, okay, I'm going to figure out how this is screwed up?
Yeah, I think, again, if you can anticipate what could go wrong, and try and prepare as much as you can ahead of time, that's always settling to me. A broken guitar string, I want to make sure I've got guitar strings on me. I want to make sure that I can get that on there real quick. Or my pickup goes out, I need to throw a battery in real quick and replace that. And so I think preparation, like a lot of things, it's kind of the key.
How important is it to sing the songs before? Sometimes some people think, you want to leave it kind of fresh. Because if you just sang it an hour or two before the performance, it's almost like you've used up your energy.
Right.
How about you? Is it something you want to roll through first?
I try not, because some of my songs are pretty high energy and vocally driven, and I don't want to blow my voice out before I'm going to play. So a lot of times I'll run through songs and play the instrumental portion of it, and kind of be singing the song in my head, so to speak.
Oh yeah.
And just one of the main things is just being comfortable with every song. I don't want to be struggling to think of a lyric when I'm singing a song.
That's a problem. If you haven't done it for a while.
I want to be emotionally connected with that song, and I think the only way to do that is to have the song mastered, like it like the back of your hand, and then you can kind of lose yourself in that song.
Okay, when you got the band going on, how important is it to rehearse before you go, or do you want to leave it to so you have a little spark of reignition when you get on stage?
Yeah, I think it's important to rehearse. That's key. So yeah, building up to a show, trying to meet with drummer, bass player, and run through the songs. But I think there's also something to be said about spontaneity. I know recently, a couple months back, we had a show, and the day of the show I found out that the last surviving member of the Ramones had passed away, and I thought, it would be nice to throw one of those songs on the set list.
Right.
So I played a song called I Believe in Miracles, and
Nice.
The punk song, it's pretty 3 chords. So bass player was like, yeah, I could do that, and drummer could do that. So I think there's also something to be said about a level of spontaneity.
Helps
too.
if it's 3 chords.
Yeah, yeah, it does.
So is it important to have the drummer rehearse more, or the bassist rehearse more, or you? How do you approach this?
Well, I mean, I think when you're kind of driving the song vocally and rhythmically, obviously you got to have it down.
Sure, yeah.
But I've always said that I think bass and percussion are just those are sounds that drive a song so much, and it's one of those things where you notice if bass is not there, and you notice it's just an integral part of the song. And same with percussion. It's when those things are in line and seamless, so to speak, it just makes a song flow.
It's great.
So,
it's a train wreck if the drums are off.
Right.
Yeah, or if you're off from the drums.
Yeah.
So do you rehearse? Do you find that it's okay to rehearse a week in advance, or does it have to be a couple of days before?
Yeah, I like a couple of days, so there's a level of familiarity.
Yeah.
And I think that the more you rehearse, the more you discover, the more you tinker with sounds and maybe find a new sound, and so yeah, a couple days beforehand, just so it's fresh.
Do you have any little routines that you do before you get up to sing? Any little superstitions, talismans of some kind, special necklace?
Yeah, I don't have any kind of major superstitions. It's more of just a mental, almost like meditation or yoga, or envisioning what it's going to be like on stage. I grew up playing sports, and that was kind of the pregame. Before you go out and play. You make sure you're prepared. All the X's and O's, and you envision how you're going to perform. So I think that's how I approach music
thinking it through. I found sometimes if you're too casual about it, you think, I got this covered. Then you get up and you go, whoa. But if you freak yourself out just a little bit before, it's kind of like writing I'm a newspaper reporter too, so it's like writing a story. I had a friend who said a little bit of fear helps.
Absolutely.
So if you have a little bit of fear before you're going on, it's almost like it tightens you up.
Yep.
To get ready for it.
Yeah, you want those butterflies, so to speak, and that's going to motivate you to, because the worst thing is flopping on stage or screwing up on a song. So there is always motivation alone to perform well.
And he says, did you ever get up and perform and suddenly forget everything you were doing?
Thankfully, I don't think I've stopped in the middle of a song. Maybe at the beginning of a song with screwing up a complicated chord in my mind. But no, I think that one of the keys to playing live is if you do screw up, you keep going and you make it seem like you didn't screw up.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you blow right through it.
Right.
Because half the time, not even half the time, most of the time people don't even really notice.
Right.
Or if they notice, it's just for a nanosecond. Yeah. So big venues, small venues. Is there a different way that you want to connect with the audience when you're playing?
You know, I think it depends. I mean, I think that it can be just as nerve-wracking playing a very small venue with a couple people out there, and as opposed to a larger venue where it's a couple hundred people. I try to just stay true to each song and stay pretty genuine and emotionally connected to that song. And I feel like if you do that, then the people who are watching, whether it's an intimate show or whether it's large scale, hopefully you're connecting with people out there.
It can be really different. At some stages when you're up, if the lights are so bright, you can hardly see anyone in front of you. So it's like you're playing to a camera.
Yeah.
Or something, as opposed to a place where you can see people's faces right up at you. Do you want to talk to some of those people before you perform, or do you just want to come on out and approach it as a bunch of strangers?
You know, I'm a fan of connecting with the audience. I mean, I know there's probably a fine line of too much talk between songs and how that can kind of get annoying.
Yep.
But I think that, if you're introducing a song and kind of giving a little background of where the inspiration of that song came from, I think that's appropriate. And, depending on who you have out there, sometimes there's people who want to chime in and say something, and I think it's healthy to have a little banter, and that's how an audience gets to know you too.
Yeah, you got to pick the crowd too. Sometimes they don't want to hear your great insights into how you wrote this particular song.
Right.
Yeah, big cities or little towns? What do you prefer getting ready for?
Well, I think that again, there can be people from all walks of life in these different venues. So, small towns. I grew up in a small town, and I think depending on the venue, if it's a venue where people are coming out to really connect and listen to music and are there just to listen to music versus, say, a bar where people are there to drink and listen to music, and they're I don't want to say I'm background music, but that's a different type of setting.
I don't know about you, but I've played gigs where I show up and I think it's going to be a ready audience for me, and I start playing and everyone at the bar has their backs to me.
Right.
And they're talking and drinking, and that's a different kind of prep.
Right.
Because in your head you kind of say, all right, I'm playing for myself.
Yep.
And I'm just having fun.
Yeah.
Right?
And you can make that part of the challenge, which is, I think, good, instead of making a negative thing where, no one's listening to me. And, I think, like you said, it could be an exercise. I
think the bottom line is you have to be digging it when you're up there doing it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the audience picks it up, and you certainly aren't putting on a good show.
Right.
Well, I hear we have a song for you now. A song from you now. So thanks for having a few moments with me, and I'm looking forward to hearing it.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, I get myself together and I pack my bags again. I wonder if this winding road ever really ends. I feel white lightning in my veins and a pounding of my heart. I put one foot in front of the other for this dark, still night. So be by my side, and I won't lie, I just might hide. Sometimes mark my words to keep hope alive. You know, broken hearts still have their time. You know, keep your eyes on the prize. You know, I won't lie, but I just might hide sometimes. Sometimes I got both eyes on the future and my mind stuck on the past. Stable thoughts come and go, but never really last. I know my luck is wearing thin, so I better get it right. But first I'll fill my glass again and have a drink to get me through the night. So be by my side, and I won't lie, just might hide. Sometimes
Annie Aronson is a singer-songwriter in the San Francisco Bay Area-based band called Hobbyhorse. She's released a couple of CDs and she performs all over the state. Okay, Annie, do you like performing for big crowds or little crowds, and how do you approach preparing for those?
Well, most of our crowds are little, so
Yeah.
I would have to say little, and I would like to perform for big crowds, but
Well,
but
there
most
are
of them are
varying
little.
degrees a little.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
if you're getting ready to perform for a kind of a noisy club setting, how do you get ready in your head for that?
Well, for noisier settings, I think more about like the energy we're putting forth.
Yeah.
Because I know that those crowds don't listen to like every little lyric or every little arrangement that we're doing.
Yeah.
So to prepare, I like those. I mean, I enjoy it when there's a lively crowd. So yeah, I prepare mostly just to put out a fun energy.
Now, you're in a duo with Phil.
Yep.
And before you go on, do you pump each other up, or do you do a little Zen moment? What do you do?
I wouldn't say we pump each other up, but we have some little private sayings that I can't really repeat to you. They're kind of secret codes that we have between us.
Really?
Yeah, that we'll say to each other before we perform.
That's interesting. And what's the purpose of these things? What are they aimed toward doing?
I think just giving, maybe a little mini pumping up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it helps to think through before you go on. How much do you think through what your set is going to be, what the audience is going to be envisioning? Do you do some of that before you get on?
Oh yeah, we do a lot of preparation. Even when we play an open mic, we prepare and we put a set list together, and we really think about how the whole thing is going to flow.
Yeah.
And what kind of audience we're going to be playing to.
Yeah, so what kind of audience do you, if it's going to be a really quiet little setting, like a really placid room, how do you get ready for that? And do you start off with a slow song? Do you want to kick them awake? What
we rarely start with a slow song, even in a small, intimate setting.
Yeah.
But the small, quieter settings do allow us to play more of the quieter songs.
Yeah.
So we might add more of those to the set.
Now, emotionally, do you want to go on energetic in your approach, or do you want to be calm as you approach the mic?
We want to be energetic because we play acoustic. People perceive it as calm even when we're doing something pretty energetic. So if we try to be calm, we're like really, really, really calm.
Yeah. Okay.
Which can put people to sleep.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't want to.
Yeah, and only when we have a song called Lullaby, and that's the only song that we really want people to sleep to.
At the end of the gig, and then you do a little picker-upper after it.
Yeah.
How much do you agonize over set lists?
Yeah, we agonize.
Do
we
you?
do. Yeah. We've even had some fights
Oh, geez.
Always resolved, though.
Are they always different? Because I know sometimes in some settings I'll have like 5 set lists, and then you kind of mix and match depending on who's showing up to play and what the venue is. Or do you create a whole new one each time, tailored to where you're going?
Whole new one each time. Yeah, because each place we play, if it's a festival, it depends on the festival. Like sometimes it's a street festival, sometimes it's in a venue kind of festival, or if it's in a small room or online. I mean, it really, each time we play is different.
Does it help to have, actually it occurs to me, one thing that would be good about having different set lists is so you don't get into a rote mode. Like how do you get yourself into a place where it's okay playing the same song for the 100th time?
Yeah, well, we think about that a lot, and part of the way we resolve that is Phil is an improviser. I'm not so much of an improviser, but he is. And so each time we play a song, it actually sounds somewhat different, depending on what he comes out of his improvisation.
Yeah, it's true. He's a wonderful soloist, I know. So when you rehearse, how much rehearsal do you do, and how do you accommodate for that?
We rehearse a lot. Yeah, and most of the rehearsal, we rehearse pretty much every day.
It helps that you live together, huh?
We live together, and we rehearse in like a lot of short spurts because I work at home and Phil works out of the home, so he has a irregular schedule. So he may come home at 6 or 8 or whatever, and we might have a little bit of time here and there, and we rehearse in those little bits of time.
Now, Phil hits a lot of different kind of instruments. What do you find that there are one or two that you need to work on more as you get ready for a gig?
The instruments?
Yeah.
Not really, no. I mean, for Phil, sometimes he'll want to do a little extra on the mandola because he doesn't play that quite as much. But we don't really, it's pretty natural flow between the instruments. The mandola. He does some nice solos on that one. But in terms of you being able to interact with that instrument, do you find that you have to roll through it a few more times? No.
Okay, good.
The same.
Are there any special things that you like to take with you on stage to like a security blanket?
Just my guitar is
just
a strap. That's a security blanket. Yeah. So my guitar doesn't fall down.
How about special clothes, any shoes, make you feel comfortable?
No, I mean, I have certain clothes I like to wear, but they're not really exactly special. I don't really have, any kind of talisman or anything.
No. Okay,
not even a secret one.
Except for the secret words.
Right.
The secret exchange. How many of those do you have between you?
Several, yeah.
Do you? See, that's very sweet. It's nice. When you're approaching a venue, Does it matter to you whether you have we were talking about a 7-hour drive as opposed to something that's just down the street? How do you prep when you're going to a place that's far away?
Yeah, it makes a huge difference as far as energy. First of all, Phil, I will give credit to, he does all the driving.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he
you
does
get to
all
sleep.
the driving. Yeah, I get to sleep. But still, even, navigating on the side, it's still some energy to, go anywhere that's far away. Setting up equipment is a lot of work.
Yeah, how much do you like to put everything through its paces first, or you just have stuff that you got set, you got a tape mark on the mixer, and off you go?
Yeah, we've got some things set, but it always takes checking anyway. And just the lugging of equipment. I mean, if we have to bring our own sound, that means bringing, amplifiers and microphones and stands and all sorts of things. And we have to, a lot of times you don't get great parking spaces at a gig, and you have to, you never know what's going to happen.
That's my least favorite part of setting up,
yeah,
is all the equipment.
So that is a lot of work, and I think people don't exactly realize, that even a short gig is really at least a full day's of work.
Yeah, it's all that. Talk about prep. It's almost like you have to set up all the equipment, and then you have to take a moment to compose yourself into performance mode.
Yeah,
because you're a tech. Even if you got help, even if you got roadies, you're a tech, and then you're a performer.
Yeah.
How do you transition into that?
Well, again, I'll give Phil some credit because he does all the setting up. He doesn't really like me to touch. I've tried to help, but he gets mad when someone tries to help. So
because you got your routine,
right?
You know how the stuff goes.
Yeah. So he does do most of that setting up.
So what are you doing while he's setting up?
I'm waiting and drinking coffee usually.
Are you running through the
chatting
songs?
with people. Yeah, sometimes running through the songs.
Yeah, how much do you like actually chatting up the audience before you get up?
It all just depends. If it's a place where there are a lot of people to talk to, that's great.
Does it help with your connection with the audience as you perform, or would you rather approach it as a fresh relationship once you get up on stage?
It just depends on the venue.
Like what venue would be good for chatting up first? Little town, big town?
Festivals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's more of a free swinging kind of environment. You want to have it's a different feel from playing a club. Is it more an interactive thing at a festival than at a club where you feel like you're putting on a performance, or is there a difference?
Still when you're on the stage, it's still putting on a performance.
Yeah.
But when you're not, like if you hang around at the festival before and after, then you're just the festival. You're not like the performer when you're not performing. I don't feel like I am. Yeah,
it's interesting. I was trying to think of synonyms for performance. It's almost like when you're able to chat up the audience beforehand and say you got some friends in there. It's almost like you're playing with a family group of a bunch of pals. Almost like a living room kind of feel to it, as opposed to coming up cold. On would you rather play on a stage where you're going up cold and you're being professional, or would you like to have more of a loose, rollicking feel to it?
Both is fine.
Yeah.
I don't.
Does it make a difference in the way you present the song?
No, I don't think so.
That's good. Well, you're a pro. Well, I hear we have a song coming from you, and I'm looking forward to that. And I appreciate you taking some time to talk with us today.
Thanks.
I'm swinging from the brittle branches over the gray, foggy forest of the dead. Oh, Perry, lift your head, hear me singing. I'm swinging from the branches through the forest of the dead. You hurt me so bad, but you were only teasing. Then I saw you hanging, blowing with the leaves. Ooh. I'm swinging from the brittle branches over the gray, foggy forest of the dead. Oh, Perry, lift your head, yeah, hear me singing. I'm swinging from the branches through the forest of the dead. Meet me at dawn when the midnight meets the blue sky. Hold on to me tight and we can swing so high. I'm swinging from the brittle branches over the gray, foggy forest of the dead. Oh, Perry, lift your head, yeah, hear me singing. I'm swinging through the forest of the dead, swinging through the forest of the dead, swinging through the forest of the dead.
So what did we learn from this? We learned that everyone has to prepare. Even long-time pros like Barry Melton want to make sure that before they go on, they've got their stuff worked out. They've done some rehearsal, they've thought about it, they've tried to interact with the audience maybe a little bit before they go on to stage. Some people want to think it through like a sporting event. Some people have little rituals they do before they go on just to calm themselves down. But the bottom line is, you don't just leap onto stage with a guitar in hand and plug it in and start going. You want to get yourself prepped. You want to be in a certain place before you start performing because you want it to be a good performance and you want to interact with the audience. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Artist Connection.